momentarily waiting. Oh, what's this? Meeting is live streams. Okay.
Morning, everyone.
Morning.
O czym powiedzieć, albo jeszcze nie powiedział.
Nie ma żadną.
Nie. No.
I can't figure out what's going on over here. Okay.
Czekam na.
Obvious. Hey. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me. You hear me? Okay, good. Okay, perfect. Sure. I don't know what happened there. I got lost, but I'm back, so it's fine. So the wonders of modern technology. So today we're going to discuss. We're doing the Kabbalah of life cycle. So today we're going to discuss the Kabbalah of the next life cycle event is Bar and Bat Mitzvah. We did so far circumcision. We did birthday. We did Pidyon Haben. We did many different life cycle events, Upshare. And this week we're going to discuss Bar and Bat Mitzvah. Now, many of you have been to many Bar and Bat Mitzvahs, but what's really appropriate is, because this coming week is Rosh Hashanah, it's the beginning of the new year and the beginning of the birthday of the world. And it's the beginning of accepting Hashem for a new year. So, it's a very appropriate time to talk about Bar and Bat Mitzvah. Everyone wonders why the age 13 and my girl is age 12. Obviously it has something to do with maturity, with development of the brain, of the thinking capacity. And that's why we turn Bar and Bat Mitzvah at that age. And the Kabbalah talks about the number 13 as being a significant number in numerology. In most buildings you go in there, they don't have a 13th floor. You look for the 13th floor, it doesn't exist because it's considered an unlucky number, right? You go in the elevator, there isn't the number 13. In many places, no 13th apartment. It's considered unlucky in the world. I don't know exactly why, but in Judaism, it's in fact quite to the contrary. The number 13 is a lucky number. It's a very lucky number, the number 13. Why is it so lucky? Because it's tied in also with the numerical value of Hashem. We say in Shema Yisrael, we say, "Hear, O Israel, the Lord is our God, the Lord is one." The word in Hebrew for one is echad. You say one is Hashem, so the word is echad. In the Shema, you see there's a big dalet at the end of the echad is said very loud, clear, and long to say one. Hashem is one. We say that also at the Seder, we say one is Hashem, one is Hashem. Yeah, echad miyodeya, right? So echad is very important, and the number echad. But you look at the word echad in the numerical value, numerology is a very simple thing. Every letter of the Hebrew alphabet has another value. So the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet is Aleph. Aleph has a numerical value of 1. Bet is 2. Gimel is 3, and so on and so forth. So if you take the 3 letters of the word Echad, Aleph, Chet, Dalet. So Aleph has a numerical value of what? Of 1. Chet has a numerical value of what? Chet is 8. So you have 1, you have 8. So far we have 9, right? And then the last letter is Dalet. Dalet is 4, right? Aleph is Gimel Dalet. Dalet is delta. Delta is a big number these days, right? Delta, the delta strain of the virus. So there's alpha, Aleph, and then there's delta, is 4, so that's 5, plus the number 9. So altogether, we have 9 plus 4 equals 13. Very good. Okay. So the number 13 is Echad, is 1. Okay, so that's very, very special. That's you get to know that's why the number 13 by Jews is on the contrary. It's a lucky number. The number Echad, very lucky number. So we know 1. We all know 1 now. We don't know why. But what is so special about the Bar Mitzvah and the Bat Mitzvah? What happens to a child at that age that we say that there's a total transformation, and that we say they suddenly become responsible, they suddenly become a man and a woman? I mean, is it a random number? What happens at that age when they turn 13? In the Kabbalah, it says that at that age, when a boy turns 13, a girl turns 12, it's the completion of the soul. Just like we said that when a child is born on the birthday, that is when the soul, when the child is born, that's when the soul comes into the body. It starts actually at conception. Well, we didn't do a class on conception yet, but at conception, that's when the Kabbalah, the Zohar writes, that's when the soul sort of connects itself already to the body at that point, from that very, very early stage. So you have conception. And then after that, after conception, you have birth, the birth of a child. That's another phase in the independence of the soul, in the development of the soul. And then we mentioned for a boy, the bris is also another development of the soul. It's when the Jewishness is being developed. And then finally, the bar and bat mitzvah is considered when the child is now completely independent of the parents and becomes a separate entity for themselves. The bracha that a father makes by the bar mitzvah is a bracha, Baruch Shepetrani. Blessed is God that has who has exempt me, who has released me from this responsibility. So up until the bar bat mitzvah's parents are responsible for the children, and after that they become on their own. Now, it's a strange blessing that parents make at the bar mitzvah to say, "Blessed is God who has released me from this punishment." Well, the commentaries speak about it. Why would that be the blessing that a parent makes at the bar mitzvah? That released me from, first of all, a child is a punishment. That's not a nice thing to say. But the answer is, it doesn't mean it's a punishment. It means that until the child is bar mitzvah and bat mitzvah, the parents are responsible for the actions of the child. The child damages something or does something. The parents are the one that are responsible for the child in all ways. After the bar mitzvah, the child becomes responsible for themselves. So now you come to the child, you don't come to the parent. They become already a full-fledged adult. So that's what it means. Blessed is God who has released me from this obligation, from this punishment. Because until then, the parents are punished for the sins of the children, so to speak. They are held responsible for their children's misdeeds. After that, the kids are on their own. But it still is quite a strange blessing to make. You would think that at a bar mitzvah, when you come up to the Torah, what should a parent should say, thank you, Hashem, for giving me such a beautiful child, such a blessing. No, the blessing is, blessed is God who released me from this punishment. What kind of bracha is that? I mean, it's true. It's true that until then, parents are responsible, and now they're not responsible. But it could have been something nicer, like, we know that when you're a farmer in the olden days, in last week's parsha, we read a farmer would come to the field and harvest the fruit. They would come and take the fruit and bring it to Jerusalem and bring it to the Kohen and say, thank you, God, for giving me this piece of land with the beautiful fruit. And here, God, I'm bringing you the fruit to the land to show how thankful I am. And then he goes on in a whole rant. The Torah says you have to say, remember, God, we came out, we come from Lavan, the Aramite. He tried to kill Jacob, and then Jacob escaped, and they went down to Egypt, and then they had the 10 plagues, and they came out of Egypt with great miracles. And then we came out, we wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, and then we came to Israel, and then we planted, and we harvested, and here are the fruits. That's a thank you. So we should say the same thing for our children. We had the child, and we were so thankful that we had a baby for 9 months. The mother carried the child, and then the child was born, and then we had all the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations, and we're so happy. We send them to school, and we had a teacher in the first grade, second grade, third grade. Finally, we are now bringing our child to synagogue and saying, thank you, God, Baruch Hashem, for my child. What do we say? Baruch Shebetrani. Thank God for releasing me from this obligation. Sounds a little negative to me, would you say? The answer is that maybe we don't really fully understand parenting. Parenting is not about creating a child in your image or forming a child the way you want the child to be. But your job as a parent is to let the child go, to throw them in the water and let them swim, to allow them to develop, to stand in the background, to allow them to develop themselves. Some parents have a thing, they have to smother their child in the love. It's a Jewish thing, take the child and just make them mamish like exactly the way you want them to be, exactly 100% this way, and you have to be exactly the doctor that we want you to be, and whatever, the lawyer. And if you're a total loser, an accountant, right? So just joking about that. Accountants hate that. But whatever, you parents want the child. That's not the job of parent. It's not the job to come to Hashem and say, here is my child the way I. No. Your job is to help the child to find their greatest potential. And sometimes it comes with engaging the child, but mostly it comes sometimes with moving back. Baruch Shepetrani, to say I'm done with my bit, and now the child is on their own. It's a different twist to it, because we believe that inherently the child has a neshama. The child has a soul, a piece of God within them, an amazing potential. And our job is to allow that potential to flourish, to allow that potential to come out, allow that beautiful child that's within. In today's Torah reading, we read, Loi nefleisi mimcha, that the Torah and the mitzvahs is not far away from you. It's not in the heavens to be a good person. It's not to cross the sea to become a good person. No. It's close into your heart. Every person, every human being, every child has the ability to be the best person they possibly can be. And that's the job of a parent, to cultivate that. And that happens at the Bar Mitzvah. The parents move back a step and they empower the child and say, you have it. You have it within you. You can do it. You can do it. because you have it in your pocket, in your heart, in your brain. You can become the best. That's what a Jewish Bar Mitzvah is. It's not parents' accolades. Say, hey, it's like, no. It's parents moving back and allowing the child to swim on their own and to find themselves the best self they possibly can be. There's a Golden, my wife, Goldie, you'll know, her uncle, great uncle. His name was Rabbi Mendel Futefas. Mendel Futefas was an old chassid. You can see him in some of the pictures. He's around. He's one of the most famous chassidim. One of his great things that he was known for was a part of his life that he, when it was time for the Russian Jews to leave Russia, it was just after World War II. So there was a window then, because it was under the Stalinist rule. Stalin was the most wicked guy in Russia, and the Jews are there suffered so much they couldn't keep any Judaism, they couldn't do anything. But there was a little window of opportunity after WW2, because there were many of the Polish Jews that escaped to Russia. So Stalin allowed for a couple of months for all the Polish Jews to go back to Poland. Not that Poland was such a wonderful place, right? But to go back and to leave Russia. But in those days, there were many Russian Jews that saw this as an opportunity, because there were many of the Polish Jews that had passed away and they had old passports, were able to use their passports, and there was all kinds of things they did to be able to sneak out of to go through the border and go with the Polish Jews back into so the Chabad community, a very, very large percentage, including my parents, my father's family, they came out of Russia that way right after the war. Mendel Futefas was an ardent activist at the time, and he was helping those trains of the people. So he sent his wife and his kids, and he was one of the last ones. He tells a story that his Rebbe, he had a teacher, Rabbi Yoina, that he went to him and he said, should I go with my family? Should I work to help the other people first? And Rabbi Yoina told him, he said, since when is there a limit on self-sacrifice? You were taught in the yeshiva to have self-sacrifice. There should be no limit for self-sacrifice. And so Rabbi Mendel let his family go out, and he was busy helping the other Jews to get out of Russia. And he was on the last train, and that train was stopped. So he never made it out. And then the Russians got hold of him, and he was now a criminal. And those days, they sent the criminals to the Gulag. So he was sent to the Gulag 10 years. He was sent to the Gulag until Stalin died 10 years later, 8 years later. Stalin died like in 1954. So 1953. Okay, so he was there till after Stalin. After Stalin died, I think that maybe a year or two later they let the prisoners go, but he was there all those years. And in those years, they sent everybody there. Like Stalin, whoever he hated, he sent there. All the Russians he sent to the Gulag, and including the doctors, the professors, the writer, the playwrights, the movie directors, everybody. They all were sent to the Gulag. Anybody that had some kind of a talent or he saw as a threat. Plus, Rabbi Mendel Futefas. He was a real threat to the country. He was like he was a rabbi. So he was like a real. So he was there, and he was trapped there in the Gulag, and he had many, many stories that he came with afterwards. For the 10 years, he didn't waste his time, even though he was busy doing nothing. But he had many, many stories, and he was with the different people over there. So the place where he lived, there were a group of people who liked to play cards. But I don't know, it must have been like a great sin at night, if the lights out, everyone had to go to sleep and they couldn't play cards. These guys, they like to play cards. So they were all talented guys, and they play, Jews like to play card, whatever they call it, they play the card games. And so at night, after the lights out, they would wake up and sit around the table, whatever, and they would play cards. Playing cards was a big sin, the biggest sin. And The guard one night comes in and they're sitting around the table, all of them playing cards. And they get wind that the guard was there. Suddenly, these guys were fast. Quickly, the cards disappeared. And this happened many nights. The guards came, they said, "What are you doing?" "We're just schmoozing." "You're not playing cards?" No, we're not playing cards. One time the guard decided he's going to find out what's going on, because every time he comes in, they're sitting around the table. It looks like a card game, but there's no cards. So he says, he comes in and he says, "Okay, guys, I know you're fooling me." He says, "But no one's going to fool Igor. I'm going to go check each and every one of your pockets." And he goes and he checks each one. And still cards. And then Igor leaves. And Mendel Futterfass is there in the room. He was there. I don't think he was playing cards, but he was watching what's going on. And then the guy goes out. The guard goes out, and he leaves. And the second he goes out, the guy pulls out the cards from his pocket, and they start playing again. So Mendel says, "How did that happen? He checked all your pockets." So one of the guys said, this is a story that Mendel tells. He says like this. One of them was the most famous pickpocket from Moscow. So he knew how to be a pickpocket. He says like this. He says, "When the guard came in, I quickly put the cards into his pocket, into the guard's pocket. So the guard had it the whole time in his pocket. And then just as we finished the investigation, I pickpocketed him back, and I pinched the cards back, so we had the cards afterwards." So Mendel would always tell the story, saying, this is an incredible thing. Sometimes you think that the answer lies somewhere else, and you don't realize that the answer to your questions and your quest is in your own pockets. If the guard for one moment would have checked in his own pocket, he would have had the answer lying right there. He says, many of us, that Mendel developed this idea. He says, many of us, we look everywhere else. We're searching for meaning in life. We're searching everywhere else. But really, we have the greatest potential in our neshama, which is within ourselves. We don't need to look to other places. We don't need to go to Mount Tibet or to check out with the Buddhists and the monks and the Islamists and this one or that Jews. We don't need all. We have the greatest gift that's within our Yiddishkeit, our Judaism. We have our neshama, we have our soul. And this is what we tell the Bar Mitzvah boy and the Bat Mitzvah girl. The answer is not even in your parents. The answer lies in yourself. Your parents and everyone moves away from you. And at the Bar Bat Mitzvah, you need to empower yourself by what? Not by externals, but the internal, the soul that you have, the neshama that you have, that you've been given. And that is the key, that is the secret to your success in life. So that is one of the mystical idea of Bar Mitzvah, is the development of the soul. And that we tell the Bar Mitzvah boy, we're moving away, and now you find your own spirit. Like it says in this week's parsha. It's not far. The Torah of the mitzvah is close to you. It's within you. What does it mean it's within you? Torah is not within you, but your soul is. And your soul is a piece of God, and it's connected to righteousness and goodness and the ability to do mitzvahs. It's right. Your cards, the cards of your life are lying in your own pocket. Okay? That's the story. That's the story of Rav Mendel. It's called his great uncle, Olav Shalom. He's a very wise man. And in many other ways, he's a great teacher, mashpia in the yeshiva for many years thereafter. But this is one of the stories he learned from the Gulag. But this whole concept that you become a man and you become someone on your own and you can develop yourself is part of what we teach. That now that's why when we become Bar Mitzvah, we become responsible. You tell the Bar Mitzvah boy, Bar Mitzvah girl, today you become responsible for your actions. And the Jewish people, we are relying on you. We are depending on you. There was once a young boy that came to the Rebbe for his Bar Mitzvah. And he wasn't a religious boy, but somebody told him, go to the rabbi. You have to go to the rabbi. It's a good thing. You'll get a blessing. So this young boy and his father, they both weren't religious at all. They went to the Lubavitcher Rebbe in honor of the boy's Bar Mitzvah. They come in for a private audience. In those days, it was the early 1950s. They went into the Rebbe for an audience. And the Rebbe tried starting a conversation with the young boy, but he's an old rabbi. And there you have this young hip Bar Mitzvah boy. So what's the Rebbe going to do? So the Rebbe says, what do you like? What do you like to do? What are your hobbies? So the kid says, I like baseball. I said, oh, you like baseball? He says, do you play baseball? He says, yeah, I like to play baseball. The Rebbe says, you ever go to a game? He says, yeah, in fact, I would go to a game. He says, you go to professional sports, to the baseball league? He says, when was the last time? He says, I went with my father this past Sunday. We went to the game. This was in Brooklyn. So he says, who was playing? He says, the Brooklyn Dodgers, of course. Those days, the Brooklyn Dodgers, if you lived in Brooklyn, when I grew up over there in Crown Heights, that's where the Ebbets Field was. That's where the Brooklyn Dodgers, they played right down the street from us. The guys that used to run out of yeshiva for a break, they'd go for a game and come back, kind of thing. It was those days was like a small thing, And it's the Brooklyn Dodgers. So the Rebbe asked the Brooklyn Dodgers, who do they play against? They played against none other than the New York Yankees. Oh, the Rebbe says, how did the game go? Who won? He says, who are you rooting? He says, the kid said, I was rooting for the Dodgers. Rebbe said, who won? He said, the Yankees. They clobbered the Dodgers. It was a tragic game. They beat them 7-0 or something. So the Rebbe says, stayed for the whole game. He says, no. In the 7th inning, I told my father, let's get out of here. I can't watch this anymore. So the Rebbe asked him, tell me, what about the players? Did they also go home in the 7th inning? The kid said to the Rebbe, the players, they can't leave the game. They have to play the game. They stay to the end of the game. But the Rebbe said, but you went home. So why couldn't they go home? He says, Rabbi, what don't you understand? He said, we're just fans. These guys, they're the real players. So the Rebbe says, He says, that's what a Bar Mitzvah is. Until you're Bar Mitzvah, you're just a fan. You play along, right? But after you Bar Mitzvah, you become a player of the team. So before Bar Mitzvah, if things get tough, you can leave the game. But after Bar Mitzvah, that's when you become an active member of the Jewish community and you become a player of our team. And we need you to win the game. And even if things are tough, you have to stay to the end of the game because you are a player. That's the Rebbe said. The Rebbe tried to find a way to teach this kid what is a Bar Mitzvah. He said the difference between before mitzvah, it's a fan versus a player. Now you're a player. You're a player of the team. I thought it was an incredible thing how the Rebbe was able to bridge the divide and to take an example from baseball and to apply it to the child's world. That's the child's world. But it is also a very, very important part of what it means to be. So the first point I mentioned to you about Bar Mitzvah was to tap in to your infinite powers, your infinite soul, that's within. And the second point we just made was that when a child turns bar bat mitzvah, they are now a player. They're not just a fan. They're a player. And one of the things that a young boy starts to do at the bar bat mitzvah is to put on tefillin. That's what a boy puts on tefillin. Tefillin is phylacteries, what you put on your hand. That they start that. All the other mitzvahs they could practice before. They do it from earlier age. But the tefillin is left specifically for the Bar Mitzvah, on the Bar Mitzvah day, and maybe they practice a few weeks, a few months before. But the day that you start really tefillin is, so for a boy, tefillin and Bar Mitzvah are very, very much associated. Many times, parents buy a pair of tefillin for the child, especially for the Bar Mitzvah. But unfortunately, many kids don't like really wear the film too much. So, there was a story of a rabbi that it came time for a young man to get married. The family didn't invite the rabbi to officiate. It took a rabbi from another community. So the rabbi noticed that this family didn't like him so much for many years. He never knew why. They suddenly and now they're really like insulting him by not inviting him to officiate the wedding. I mean, this family was with this rabbi for many, many years. And what happened? So the rabbi decided he was going to confront the parents. He goes to their home. He sits down with them. I came to say Mazel Tov, but I need to ask you a personal question. He says, I know you for 30 years, whatever, and it hurts me that you didn't invite me to officiate the wedding. Is there something I did? Something? Well, and say to the rabbi, you don't know the reason. It's obvious. Rabbi, we can never have you. You're a crook. Rabbi says, crook? Well, what did I do? You don't remember? What? With our son Joey, the one that's getting married. You don't remember what happened at the Bar Mitzvah? So what are you talking about? I have no idea. He said, Joey got a golden watch on the day of the Bar Mitzvah. We left it on the table. You were sitting with us on the table. We went to dance. You were the only one left on the table. We came back, and the watch was gone. So we didn't want to embarrass you, Rabbi, and maybe you need some money, but you want us to get you to marry off our son when you stole the young boy's golden watch. Rabbi says, what are you talking about? He says all these years you've been harboring these feelings about me being a crook, and you never could approach me or ask me. He said, didn't you take it, Rabbi? It was obvious. You were the only one left on the table. The Rabbi says, you guys went to dance. I was the only one left at the table. I looked around and I saw the watch on the table, and I said, a watch on the table, you leave it all alone, someone could come and steal it. So what did I do? I saw the tefillin bag was also on the table. So I took the watch and I put it into the tefillin bag. And he says, obviously, the boy didn't put on his tefillin since the day of his bar mitzvah. I put it in this tefillin bag to hide it, and the parents says, oi. They went home and they checked the tefillin bag, and sure enough, there was the golden watch. The rabbi said, I thought for sure the next morning the boy will put it on again and he'll see the watch there, but at least nobody would have stolen it. Anyways, the story has many lessons. First of all, a lot of times people should just approach the rabbi and ask him questions before harboring a faribul for 20 years. But more than that, tefillin is something to put on at least more regularly. But that's sometimes the case. But most cases, let's say, the Bar Mitzvah boy will put on the tefillin, and the tefillin is very, very much associated with the message of the Bar Mitzvah. I tell the kids a lot of times about what is the link between tefillin and the Bar Mitzvah. Why is that such a symbolic thing? And one of the aspects of tefillin, there are many things. Tefillin, we had a whole Kabbalistic class on tefillin, on the by the way, this class has been going, I think, I don't know, for quite a while already, right? It was supposed to be a 6-week course, and I think we're already doing this over a year, maybe a year and a half or something. I don't know. Anybody know how long we're doing this? Pretty good. I'm happy to do it, but it's it's been going pretty long. We did once classes on the Kabbalah of tefillin, right? So you can refer to that. It's somewhere on the Facebook or on the YouTube. But one of the aspects of tefillin, which I find is fascinating, is that the tefillin is always placed on the left arm. Why is it placed on the left or the weaker arm? So if you're, let's say, if you're a lefty, you would put the tefillin on the right arm. It's always put on the weaker arm. Why is the tefillin always put? Because one of the messages of the tefillin, and the messages also that we teach the Bar Mitzvah boy, is that the stronger arm has to help the weaker arm. That the idea is that in life we need to put ourselves out for others, and that's one of the big messages of a Bar Mitzvah, is that now you become a man on your own, and now you have the opportunity to go out and to help others that are weaker than you, whether it's a kid in class. This is something that's very important to teach our children. Of course, not to bully other kids, but even more than that, to help when you see kids that are a little bit compromised, or a little bit, a little bit challenged. I mean, today kids are generally much more sensitive to that. But years ago, like when I grew up, it wasn't, kids weren't so sensitive about that. But that's a big thing. It's for children to learn to try to always help out someone that's less fortunate than we are. I remember as a child, like there was a child in my class in a wheelchair. I remember the mother used to invite me to the house, and I would sit, maybe I was just an obliging kid, so I would come over and I would sit with that kid a whole night, playing games and things like that. But in those days it wasn't, I don't know, it wasn't really that popular. It wasn't that common. A lot of the kids were really they were rough, and they were ruthless, and they didn't really pay attention to kids that have special needs. But that's really one of the important lessons of the Bar Mitzvah is the lesson of the tefillin. The lesson of the tefillin is you take the tefillin with the stronger arm, and you elevate the weaker in this world. And for Jews, that's always been parts of what our religion is, to help the orphan, to help the widow, to help the poor, tzedakah. All these things are about, and to do justice, chesed, and tzedek, and din. It's to be just to others, and to help out the underdogs. It's all these ideas that the liberals have today in the world. These ideas have been Jewish for the longest time, and they were inculcated in us in many of the rituals. For instance, tefillin is one of those rituals, which is just a thing you do, but you do it every day. The right hand helps the left hand. And the Jewish people, we're taught we're like one entity, we're like one people. And some are the right arm, some are the left arm, some have more abilities than others, and their job is to help others to come and develop themselves to be better. Anyways, I have more about Bar Mitzvah, which I will do with you. We'll do Bar Mitzvah 2, which will be next week. I'm not sure. Next week, Shana is Tuesday and Wednesday, so we can get together Thursday. It's not a problem. Actually, that day is my birthday, my Hebrew birthday. So you can come on and wish me a happy birthday the day after Rosh Hashanah. So I think next Thursday. It's Gimel Tishrei. So that's interesting. So we'll have the class on my birthday, and we'll continue with more aspects of Bar and Bat, the Kabbalah of Bar and Bat Mitzvah. Okay. So anybody have any questions on what we spoke about so far? Are we good?
It's also my birthday on that day.
Oh, you see, Mazel Tov.
Thank you, Mazel Tov. Shana Tova, everyone.
Shana Tova, thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Rabbi.
Bye-bye.
Good, everybody. All the best. Take care.
Thank you.
Yeah.